Hello and welcome in everyone. Welcome to this stream today. We have, as you can see, his art up on the screen at the moment. Teo and Solong. That is, tell me a
Yeah,
bit.
Toe and So Long. Toe and So Long by me, Jacob Michael Campbell. Let me help you out there a little bit.
Yeah. So that's his website here. At Toe Solong. Site's google.com. Toe Solong. He also has
You can actually just go to toeandsolong.com.
there you
So
go.
it redirects you to that little Google site thing. But yeah, toeandsolong.com.
Awesome. There and Instagram and all sorts. Yeah, all the links are there. As well as they are be at the bottom of the screen. Um, for everyone to bottom of the screen. I mean the in the description. For everyone to click on later. As well as you do. So welcome in. Um, I myself haven't had a mini artisan for a while. Just been busy and it's been busy and hard to keep on finding artists to go on the show. Um, but welcome in. So can you tell me a bit about your comic?
Yeah, absolutely. Toe and So Long is something of a shonen style. It's a portal science fantasy, science fiction adventure with a classic kind of cartoon duo, Toe and So Long, inspired by so many awesome, cartoon duos throughout the years. And they travel an endless plane of doors, taking them to an endless variety of worlds, and within those worlds they have adventures that sort of lead to self-discovery, sort of like a mix between maybe Rick and Morty and Adventure Time, but without so much screaming
Yeah,
and maybe as much existentialism. So hopefully that explains it.
yeah, that sounds awesome. It's a cat and human. Is he human?
Not quite. No,
Not quite.
humanoid. He's a bit of a
Humanoid.
humanoid. Yeah, that's the form that Toe takes. And So Long is a scarfed kitty.
Awesome.
Dark gray, sort of a cat you see. It's like, is that a black cat? No, it's kind of dark gray.
Maybe in a dark world he could be black, like
It's possible.
um
The problem with making the color scheme flat black, though, in a comic book, that's very troublesome for making like them look like something,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
he'll just look
Yeah.
like a black hole or something.
Yeah, though that can be good. That can look like if I planned better for that. But it's a very strong aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that looks awesome. Um
Thank you.
so you just done one issue of it for now or
For now, one issue is complete. Actually, I haven't really officially announced anything, but we'll say the second issue is in development. I'm
awesome.
working towards that.
Well,
So
that's
now that
cool.
we've had a successful Kickstarter, we raised over $1,000 for Toe and So Long issue one. We're gonna get to, it makes sense to at least try
Mm,
again. Yeah.
definitely, if the first
Mhm.
one does well, you got to get a second one, like
Give it a shot, right?
yeah.
And it's not like this is inside baseball, but it's not like I've put, resources into it, and just because we had a good Kickstarter doesn't mean that, everything's on the other side of it, right? It's still like I want to do something with it, and I've got buy-in from other people now.
Mm,
So that is super important. It's, because you need audience signals as an artist
mm.
to know, is this something I should keep doing, right? Because I got to put more time and more effort and more resources into it. Should I keep doing it? And enough people said yes, I think. So I'll keep trying.
Definitely, that I think that's an important thing is having some audience signal. Um,
Mhm.
my most recent one at the moment is a Lumily. Have you heard of Lumily?
Is this a platform or is this
It's a
a
character.
story?
It's a character from Mario. I decided to do a drawing of Lumily for kind of a
Oh yeah.
YouTube video, and when I posted that, they got like 100 views, and I was like, oh, okay, I've hit something here. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're in the algorithm and you're trying to work algorithms to make your own work pop, I definitely understand that it is a game of, keywords that are, so is this from like Super Mario Galaxy, right?
I'm not sure. It's in the movie, the latest movie they've just had.
Ah,
I don't know a lot about
okay.
Mario and the characters, like what series they're
I d-
in.
yeah, I don't know anything about the Mario movie lore, the continuity of the Mario movie. I'm sure it's its own universe unto itself, and the fans are really going to break it down for everybody, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be that, like when they make all those movies about games and things like that. Um, I was thinking at first it was going to be like, well, when I first heard about it, I was like, what's gonna how is this movie gonna work? Like I can't see a whole hour and a half or whatever of Mario just going around eating mushrooms and saves the princess and that's the end.
Well, that sounds like a different movie altogether. There, he's just,
Yeah.
Mamma mia, the colors are so bright.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like sitting there tripping on mushrooms all day, and that's the whole movie.
I mean, could you even show him eating one of those mushrooms and keep it like a PG movie? I don't know.
Well, they manage it, but um, I've noticed these days they manage to get away with so much. Like I think the last one I watched was Super Pets, and
Sorry, what? Oh, Super Pets.
Super
Okay.
Pets. That's when these pets
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
superpowers. Basically, the pets of
Yeah.
said to be the pets.
DC.
Yeah, DC. Yep.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
Bat Dog and um
Sure.
and
Make it a dog. Yeah.
yeah,
Easy money.
Bat
Yeah.
Dog. Um, and he's actually like he doesn't. He actually kind of swears in the movie. They bleep it out in the movie,
Hmm.
and this is a kids movie that they bleep out the words he says. And yeah, we as parents know that what he's saying. We're like, oh, we know what he's saying. Um, but the kids just,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, it's that whole the thing that Pixar started of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge at the parents.
yeah,
Well, I don't know, and I don't know how much they started it because I'm sure it's always been there, but it's always been very blatant in the Pixar movies, in my opinion.
yes. Yeah, and it's just interesting that they do these things, but that's quite out there that they
Well,
no,
what was
yeah.
the most recent like kids thing turned adult and weird is the Barbie movie. To
Mm,
me, the dialogue in the trailer was very, I mean, this is a toy for young young girls. And
yeah.
that's still the main demographic for Barbie. Beyond whatever the collector market is, it's mainly, but maybe it's meta now. Are there more Barbie collectors than there are like 5-year-old girls who own Barbie? I don't know if that's the case. That may be disturbingly true.
Mm, yeah,
We
I'm
kind of
not
live in a
sure.
meta we kind of live in a meta entertainment world, right?
Mm,
Where like entertainment about entertainment probably does better numbers than the actual entertainment itself at sometimes. You see like a really popular analysis of an anime,
yeah.
like a modern anime, and there's millions and millions of views on that stuff. How many times has the anime itself been viewed? I wonder sometimes.
Mm, yeah. I'm not sure. It used to be like one of the things that be on TV like all the time, Barbie. Um, those kids Barbie movies, and I do remember my sisters always watching those. You know.
Are you talking about the 3D ones?
Yeah, yeah. Always had the 3D
Yeah.
Barbies. Yeah. always
Yeah, I
interesting.
never saw one of those. I remember watching like Game Grumps play the, Dream Barbie Horse Girl simulator or whatever it was. Something like that, you know. So I've seen some of the video games be played. I've
Mm,
never seen like one of the Barbie movies
mm.
or even like a meta content about the Barbie movies, like I just said, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But I can
yeah,
imagine it was, yeah, for your generation, those and the age of your sisters, those movies were probably really important to them, right?
yeah, I think so. um, but yeah, it's quite interesting the times. Um, what's interesting about their Barbie movie is they were going to cast Amy Schneider or Schmuder, I can't remember.
Schumer?
Yeah, as
Yeah.
Barbie, and I can just imagine her saying like
What?
swearing and being like, "What the hell am I wearing?" and
How?
just being so peed off that she's a Barbie and all this stuff.
That sounds like a PR stunt.
Yeah, it sounds like
I don't think she ever really had a chance at that role. I don't know.
yeah, I'm not sure, but that's all rumor and everything as far as I know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a planted rumor.
yeah. So I was wondering how long you've been drawing and creating for.
Well, I want to be clear about Toe and So Long that I am not responsible for the actual drawings that you're seeing. What I
Okay.
am responsible for is the development of the idea, the design of the characters, the world itself, the layouts of the pages, the general design. And then
Mm.
I am post production everything. So then I'm also doing all of the coloring and all of the lettering and all of the sort of technical work that goes on afterwards. So
Awesome.
basically, I did everything for this comic. I do suffer from tremors. So it's always affected my ability to do sequential art. And if you know what I'm talking about with sequential art, this is basically like comic books or animation, right? Where you're drawing a figure or form in space and it's rotating and you're doing it again and again and again, right?
Mm.
And it's really hard to do that with basically like a random number generator moving your hand in various ways. It's not impossible. And in fact, I am trying to overcome that and find ways to kind of make the comic, maybe do a comic strip of Toe and So Long. And I'm really working to improve my own drawing skills through this because they've just always been handicapped and it's not practical. Because for me, it's been really important to get uh, some sort of financial feedback for creative work. Uh, and so, and it was really difficult actually because before the pandemic, I was running my own brand identity business. And so that basically goes into logos, right? But I was also doing strategy for them because I'd been working promoting myself for so long. And then I got work when I was like 16 doing like design for bands and stuff like that. I make band logos. I make my own band logos. You make flyers and this and that. And I went to college and I did graphic design there and pick up odd jobs here and there. And then I worked at a t-shirt shop, right? And then building up all this experience, right? So I just recently landed full-time work that gets me kind of ahead, right?
Mm.
The ball. But I've been making this comic book on like uh, my brand identity work I'd been doing right before the pandemic. And actually, you're in Australia, right?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
close enough.
My bad. I'm also dyslexic,
I,
and dyslexics will confuse things like left and right, or if
mm,
there are two similar things, they'll flip them in their head.
mm.
Like, so my apologies. But
It's
I
okay.
was working with a client who was, doing work in New Zealand, by the way. So
Awesome.
they, she'd like fly back and forth from there. But then she experienced the wildfires in Australia, and then the
Mm.
pandemic hit right after that.
Yeah,
You probably remember that to an extent, right?
yeah.
Like, so so all that hit and it really like changed my whole world. and especially financially. And Toe and So Long had to go on the back burner for a while, but I finally started to get ahead, got all the drawings done, and was able to get enough time off at work to be able to do the Kickstarter. And because working full time every day and running a Kickstarter is possible, but I definitely wouldn't have raised as much for sure.
Definitely.
And getting over that $1,000 mark to me was really important. That extra digit, right?
Mm.
That social proof, as we call it. I don't know if you or your audience ever talked about social proof or that concept.
Really? But yeah,
Yeah,
social proof.
social proof. It's basically just like people liking your things, or
Mm.
people, if you have a transparent thing that says, oh, people spent this much money on you, then
Mm.
that's also a form of social proof. And in fact, it's a little weightier than likes, right? Because
Yeah,
it's money.
definitely. It's like an extra thing on top versus, someone liked, but someone actually took their time and their money to invest in you or whatever, um, versus just clicking a like button. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's always challenging with. I've definitely haven't had a lot of that social. What's it called again?
Social proof.
Social
Yeah.
proof. Apart from lately, yeah, that 2 milli video, that was interesting.
Oh, you had a video do well?
Yeah, that was the Lumily one I was talking about earlier.
Yes.
Was just
Yes,
like,
yes.
oh
I
yeah, awesome.
remember. Yeah, we were
Um,
talking about that off the Were we? I can't remember now. Anyways, that's cool. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's always good to have some good keywords going on. No doubt.
mm,
You got to have some good keywords going on.
yeah, I think because that's a big topic at the moment
Mhm.
is definitely that movie because it only came out last month. I think it's gone from the movies at the moment or something. Um,
Hmm.
so and that character is a very interesting character. It was kind of a character that they didn't expect it to act like that, you know. Hopefully, no spoilers here, you know.
They didn't expect the audience response. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, like because
Yeah.
yeah, he had kind of a happily depressed kind of character to him,
Uh-huh.
if that makes sense. So he was,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
it,
Maybe I have to watch these movies. I still haven't seen any of the Sonic movies.
yeah,
I haven't watched really, like, even the Castlevania anime or whatever that's on Netflix. I haven't seen that. Even the good stuff, I haven't really. I don't really watch new media. I watch a lot of old stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's all good.
I'm
Yeah,
going to the classics.
I mean, classics are interesting too. Um, I think. I mean, it's
Yeah,
last, huh?
I'm sorry. Did you have a? What were you gonna say?
I was just saying that last year I watched through the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I recently finished. I'd never gotten through the Boo saga.
Yeah.
Sad to admit that after 30 plus years of living, I never finished it, and I tried to do it twice before that, and yeah, I finally hit it and got it done, and I'm happy to say it's done. Yeah, it was hard to get through that little tail end, but I will say there's a moment, and this might be spoilers, but it's not about the conflict of Boo and Goku. Minor spoilers. Goku waiting around for some eggs to hatch, and you're like, all right, I forgive you, Goku, whatever. All right, you're bad dad, all the things people say about Goku that are negative, but then you watch him like protect these eggs, and you're like, he's the dude. What are you gonna do about it? You can't do anything about it. He's the best. So
Yeah.
how'd you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it. I only it used to play when I was a kid on TV. Um, and sometimes I think in the mornings and things like that. Before I go to school. Um, but I never kind of watched it from start to finish. I would always be like, a few episodes or something here, and then like the end part or something, or close to the end. So I never could watch it from start to finish because yeah, it's so long. It's like so
Yeah, and it's really a slog at the end. It really is.
yeah.
It's rough. Um, yeah, I've actually got have you ever heard of an old anime? I mean, this we're talking about. You've heard of Osamu Tezuka?
No, no, I don't think so.
Okay, so you've never heard of like Astro Boy?
I've heard of Astro Boy, yes.
Okay, so his creator's name was Osamu Tezuka.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and do you remember Power Rangers?
Yeah.
So the guy who created the original Power Rangers, Go Ranger, which is like way back in the 70s, right?
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Takusatsu?
Not sure.
That's what
Think.
that's the category that Power Rangers fits into because it's
Okay.
originally from Japan.
Yeah.
Um, and the guy who created that franchise is named Shitaro Ishinomori. Okay. And
Yeah.
then there's another guy that really doesn't have a huge presence in America, but he had one of the first more successful anime come over called Star Blazers. I don't know if you've ever heard of Star Blazers.
Not Star Blazers, no.
Yeah, Space Battleship Yamato, it's also called.
Okay. Cool.
And this is a guy, he also made things like Captain Harlock and Galaxy Express 39. These are the biggest things I could probably name that he's worked on. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've heard of any of it.
No, I haven't heard those ones.
No,
But
no.
yeah.
But so that's my niche, and
Awesome.
I run the world's largest English speaking fan project dedicated to Leiji Matsumoto. So it's called
Awesome.
Leijiverse. And so
Oh.
this is actually something I started in 2020 when the pandemic happened. It was kind of like
Mm.
one of the first things I did after I lost my biggest client with the Australian wildfires and the global pandemic.
Yeah.
And so that was a fun project, and it actually was kind of like a cool artist experience to really dive into an artist that not everybody knows about, but get to know his work intimately and his life and story and how important he was. And then you realize just how important he is, and it was really revelatory and cool. So it's like a cool little artist journey. I think a lot of artists would really benefit from taking a really deep dive into just like one artist and
Mm.
understanding their importance really vividly.
Yeah. Definitely. It does help a lot. I mean, I don't go into that specific, um,
Mm.
amount, but I do, watch artists and learn their stories and their art and yeah, everything like that.
Well, you're still a bit younger than me, I think.
Yeah,
I'm a bit older. I'm a bit old. So you still have time to find somebody who really speaks to you,
yeah,
right? And I think that's important for artists too, because when you see someone who's so in touch with the thing that you want to be in touch with, you kind of get curious how they became so in touch with it.
mm, definitely. Um, yeah, I think one big inspiration for me has been Bobby Chio. Um, and yeah,
Bobby Theo?
but yeah, Bobby Chio.
Chio.
He
Okay.
runs a schoolism. Um, and he's an amazing artist. He's been a huge inspiration, and not just for me, a lot of artists too. Because he started the schoolism, which is an online school filled with heaps of your favorite artists from around the world. Um,
Is this kind of like a Skillshare sort of platform, like a teaching platform?
in a way, yes, it's kind of like
That's cool.
Skillshare, but I think with Skillshare, like lots of people create things on there.
Yeah, it's not as curated.
Yeah. But we're talking artists that have worked for Disney, Pixar, I think, um, have you heard of Daniel Ariega, um,
No, I haven't.
Steven Silver?
So I'm guessing, are these guys that have like a pretty notable social following? They're not just like, professionals that nobody's heard of before. Is that kind of the
um,
benefit?
I think like some of them do, some of them don't.
Hmm.
Like for instance, like Craig Mullins he's kind of what they call the godfather of digital painting. Um,
Okay.
but I don't think he has a big social media like following. Um,
Hmm.
but you know he is in the
Okay, I get what you're
industry.
saying.
Yeah,
He's
you
more
know.
of an old head. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I guess if I saw David Carson also in one of those lessons, I'd probably say, "Oh, that's notable," but his
yeah,
social media isn't that huge either. So,
yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are like very big, they're well known, and they have their own kind of social following and everything like that. Um, yeah, it's quite an interesting thing there, you know, like um,
Yeah.
some of these, you know, big in the industry, but they're not like known on social media, you know.
For sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean well that's a definitely a luxury I think in 2023
Mm.
that that you can have a career and be really successful and not be on social media. Uh, I'll just sorry if this is too distracting from your podcast, but I'm live right now too, and one of my audience members just said I'm familiar with Craig Mullins. So that might be a name that's out there too. Yeah, that's pretty well known. But you're saying Craig Mullins' social media just not very popular
As
these
far as I know, I
days.
mean, I don't really
Yeah.
search for his social media.
Yeah,
Um,
and no shade at him. I would love to be big and have no social media. I think I just made that clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got some, but it's not like, you know, he hasn't got like a million followers or whatever, you know, but um
Yeah, and same with David Carson too, like
yeah.
godfather of broken type for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've spoken with him a little on Instagram one time, so
Mm,
that was cool.
yeah. But it's quite interesting. Yeah, I would definitely social media is conquering all at the moment.
Haha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I got no problem with social media. That's how I got my professional start in art. Like I said, I was in bands and I was 16. And when I was 16, MySpace had like just come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was out there spamming the little image I made, right, to promote like, oh, this is a cute little image I made. Okay, check this out, and I've got some prices on it too, So it's like a little ad and spam comment that on like a bunch of bands pages, and I wasn't the only person doing it, but it worked. So then I was like,
Mm,
God, I guess this is just how you get work on social media. Just I've never stopped commenting on things. Just got to comment on things, and eventually you get some money, I guess.
yeah. Well, there's all different ways about it, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah, there's a few different ways on social media. But for my body type,
Mm.
commenting works a little better than pictures of myself. Actually, sadly, I mean, talking about social media and bringing it back to Toe and So Long, I would notice when I post stories of myself and a picture of video of myself doesn't do quite as well as a picture of the characters. So I sort of think, okay, well, maybe I reserve my face for a different audience, uh just you got to optimize, right? If my face isn't doing it for Toe and So Long, then I don't need to be the face of Toe and So Long. That's great. I
Mm.
actually prefer to make artwork that I'm not the face of.
Mm. Definitely.
It's
Um,
freeing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for some people they see some artists they do have like a picture of them and then the next one will be like a picture of their art or something. Um, and
Hmm.
it works well for them as an artist. Um, but sometimes it is kind of the opposite where it's just the art that um sells it.
Yeah, well, it's whatever your Q rating is. I don't know if you've ever heard the term Q rating, but that's kind of an old term for celebrities. It's like how likable is your face, and
Yeah.
to what audience is it likable to? And you know what? Some faces can become more likable over time for sure.
Mm.
You kind of got to earn your face in some ways, but some people have to earn it more than others. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but I think it's just not one style fits all. Um, so it's just find
Hmm.
your style and see what works. Sometimes it does take a little bit of play around.
Well, it's
Um,
also what is your end? What are the ends that you're aiming for? And
mm.
I would say if you want to work for Marvel, then you've got to be like one of the Marvel guys. And I've met a few Marvel guys in my lifetime, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be a Marvel guy.
Yeah.
That's not my life. So, what am I going to do about it, right? I'm going to make comic books. I can't work for Marvel. I can't I can't draw sequential art, but I have designs, I have stories, I have concepts, and I have skills. And I have artistic skills. I've learned so much about rendering doing the coloring for this comic. It's been, my skills of one of those exponential skill kind of competencies, competency increases that are,
Yeah.
awesome. You love to experience those as an artist. I'm sure you know that. So, um, I kind of forget what my point there was, but yeah. Oh yeah, this is what I got to do. I got to find my own way in a guerrilla context. I'm going at it the back door. I'm making comments on pages. I know my face isn't going to help me subvert the fact that I'm not a Marvel guy. So I'm going to use this tenacity that I have. And also, I directed all of this. And I think, and I'm looking at it on my screen and I think, yeah, I think this looks pretty good. So, and the people on Instagram have agreed. So I found my subversive path.
Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Find your strengths and they'll eliminate your weaknesses.
Hmm. Awesome. So it says you teach you learn how to draw toe in so long.
Well, part of what I did actually was I needed to develop a way to get people onto an email list. Now,
Hmm.
that has been, not as successful as I would have hoped. Email list is really hard.
Hmm.
It's really hard when you're starting out. It's not impossible. You should definitely go for it because email, you know, stops you from being beholden to Instagram's, whims
Hmm.
if they're going to put you in front of anybody or not. And I'm totally understanding that, but mainly I used Instagram DMs actually, and a bit of a script in that, and engaging with people, and that opened up a lot of conversations. I kind of lost the plot again. I'll be honest with you, but yeah, it's been interesting to work all the angles and find out what my strengths are and adapt my strengths and adapt my strategy like that on a dime. And I think it worked out okay. You know, uh, every time I do it, every time I do another project, I get better and better at it. So if we do another Kickstarter, I'll get better at that. You
Hmm.
know.
Definitely, it's all a learning curve. Um, you've definitely not done Kickstarters before, so it's
Mm,
it all comes down to kind of repetition, um,
no
and
doubt.
and trialing it and trying new things. Um, you can only grow.
Yeah, yeah, personally, right?
Yeah.
And then, you have to remember you're not, uh, your growth isn't beholden to the growth of your project.
Hmm.
Because if that was the case, I'd be dead. And I'd be dead around the age of like 18, So, uh, and I'm not. So that's good, right? I survived a band breaking up, right? And I formed another band, and I did this, and I took this job, and I worked this thing, and you know, I'm sure I'm always kind of working on five things because I know one of them is going to fall apart completely,
Hmm.
and maybe five is too much. The average person maybe should do like three things, maybe, especially if they're creative. If they're trying to be entrepreneurial, they're trying to be a creative that's making work and putting things out. Uh, in my experience, the best way to be putting things out on any level of consistency is to take on numerous projects and also, have things that you're doing completely by yourself. Have things that you're working on with other people,
Hmm.
right? So that you're not always alone, but you're not always dependent on, whether or not your friend's gonna flake.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Um, I mean, yeah, the more the merrier, I guess. Sometimes it does get overwhelming with lots of things going on. Um,
Yeah, and lots of different people, and lots of different personalities and whims, and just I was thinking today, just the collective incompetency of humans, right? It almost seems like it's dastardly, like there's some dastardly plan against us all. But I think at the end of the day, we're all just goofing up so much that, you know, what I forget whose law it is, but if something can go wrong, it will. So,
oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, that
um,
old adage.
yeah. The ye old sayings, um, as I say. Um, but yeah, you kind of have to plan for those bad things, in a way too. That's why
Sure.
having a safety net of 5 projects on the go. That way, if one thing flakes, or
Hmm.
whatever, you've got another thing to fall on. Um, which is it's kind of good because then, yeah, because if you have nothing, then
Yeah.
it kind of just you're just mellow. And you're like, oh, what do I do
Yeah,
now?
I mean, and I think there are people that do the exact opposite and
Mm,
reach insane levels of success, and they bet on themselves 100%, and they did it, and they went hard, and you have to do it 100% if you're gonna go that hard on one thing. And I think that, maybe in my life that will happen, that I'll just have to get rid of everything else and focus on the one thing to get to whatever next level, so that maybe someday I can do those other things too, but I just have to really buckle down. And I say I work on 5 projects, but I think actively, if I'm doing anything actively, like, and even projects, it's not even just types of projects, it's more like jobs pertaining to certain projects. Like, okay, right now I'm focusing on coloring Toe and So Long, and that involves streaming. So that's a little bit with streaming. And then I'm also running my fan page, right?
mm,
And then I'm working a full time job. And I think those are my 3 core now. But when I was doing the Kickstarter as well,
mm.
something had to go.
Yeah,
So I had to put the fan page away for a month and focus on the Kickstarter, because the Kickstarter and Toe and So Long and the coloring, that's both Toe and So Long, but those are 2 huge boulders of Toe and So Long I was moving simultaneously.
mm.
And that was, that required some moving things around there
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Definitely, I've been playing around with like this, and because I used to have weekly tips, um, and I decided to stop that because it was like, well, it wasn't the greatest videos in the world. It was alright, but um, I just needed that time to work on my other works basically, rather than just weekly tips.
And that's Murphy's Law, by the way. And I kept thinking of Moore's Law, but that's technology doubles every 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That's very different. Yeah. Another thank you to an audience member.
Awesome. But yeah, that's about it for today. Do you have any other topics you'd like to say anything about?
Well, I guess I'd just like to, make sure I get some plugs in there. Toeandsolong.com, actually pre-orders are open now. So now that the Kickstarter is over, those people got a little bit better of a deal, but you still got a decent deal and free shipping within the US. That's the only place we're taking pre-orders from right now. But we may expand to international pre-orders in the near future. So toeandsolong.com, toe like your big toe, by the way. See, TOEANDSOLONG.com. And I'm dyslexic, so that's harder for me to say it than it is for you to hear what I just said. And if you like anime, facebook.com/Liagiverse, but listen, I've already given you enough letters with Toe and So Long. So focus on Toe and So Long. I go under Captain Hardluck, which is a lot easier. It's the abbreviation for Captain CPT Hardluck, Captain Hardluck, and you can find I'm pretty much everywhere with that handle. So
awesome.
That's good. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
But I do really appreciate it so much, Daniel, that you let me onto your platform to speak with your audience, and I'd love to get to know more about your audience, and maybe we'll talk more and do more art in the future, and just super excited to see the episode. Thank you.
Awesome. No, it's been great. Thanks for coming in. Anyone out there, Toe and So Long, as you've heard, and all the links are in the description as well. So please go check that out. It's been lovely having you in. Keep drawing, keep creating, and we'll see you in the next video.